Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Melinda Yao, and I'm currently a junior from Pearland, Texas. And my presentation is entitled The Effects of Music on Alzheimer's Disease, Understanding the Neuromechanisms. So before we get started, we need to understand what Alzheimer's disease is. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative disease, which means it increases in severity over time and it damages and destroys nerve cells, also known as neurons. When neurons degenerate and die, it can dramatically shrink the brain, as displayed by the image on the right. The damage causes problems with learning, memory, and thinking, and is eventually fatal. It is the most common form of dementia, which is a more general term for the impairment of mental function. Alzheimer's is a widespread medical concern as it affects 1 in 6 people over the age of 60. Thus, Alzheimer's treatment is becoming an increasingly pressing and popular area of research and development. Unfortunately, there are currently no cure for dementia. Although pharmacological drugs have been developed, such as memantine, these drugs mainly serve to temporarily improve dementia symptoms. Moreover, they often come with a host of negative side effects, such as nausea, loss of appetite, headaches, or dizziness. They are also not universally effective for all patients. Thus, there have been increased investigations into non-pharmacological treatments that serve to supplement pharmacological approaches. The treatments include cognitive stimulation therapy, physical exercise, a Mediterranean diet, and the subject of this presentation, music therapy. So why is music therapy effective? For one, it has been found that musical memory is partially separate from other memory systems. The neural encoding of music memories involves the caudal anterior cingulate cortex and the ventral presupplementary motor area. Importantly, these brain areas are among the last to degenerate as a result of Alzheimer's. Because of this, music-evoked autobiographical memories, or memories from one's personal life, are often preserved in Alzheimer's. Therapeutically, it has been shown that engaging in musical activities can improve verbal fluency, memory, and psychiatric symptoms in Alzheimer's patients. The results are especially pronounced if they engage in music that is familiar or holds a connection to their past. With the evidence that music therapy does benefit the memory and well-being of Alzheimer's patients, it was unclear how music was able to cause such a large impact. Thus, this informed my research question: what are the neurological mechanisms underlying music's effect on the brain, and how could it benefit Alzheimer's treatment? To answer this question, I conducted a literature review of the existing research regarding music's impact on brain mechanisms. In my review, I discovered that there were 2 major ways music impacted the brain, through neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. To give an overview, neuroplasticity describes structural changes in the brain as it adapts to experiences and learning. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to strengthen synapses, or the connections between neurons, which is also known as synaptic plasticity. In the image shown, the neuron on the left is an image from a rat housed in a standard laboratory cage. The nerve cell to the right demonstrates the effect of 3 weeks housing in a larger cage with more rats and the opportunity for various activities. In addition to more branches, there are more small outgrowths, which are where the communication with other neurons take place. These small branches are known as dendrites, and they are covered in small protrusions known as dendritic spines. The size, shape, and number of these spines can inform the presence of neuroplasticity. On the other hand, neurogenesis refers to the process of generating new neurons in the brain. Neurogenesis primarily occurs within the hippocampus of the brain, which is again responsible for learning and memory. The image to the right displays a portion of a mouse dentate gyrus located in the hippocampus. Newborn cells are labeled in blue. Although neurogenesis was once thought to only occur during the developmental stages of life, neuro research suggests that neurogenesis can also occur in the adult brain. To quantitatively analyze neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, it is crucial to investigate the neurotrophins that enable it. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, is a neurotrophin, which are proteins that promote neuronal growth and survival. High levels of BDNF have been detected in hippocampus. BDNF facilitates plasticity in a number of ways, including promoting synaptic strength and increasing the size and number of dendritic spines. BDNF also increases neurogenesis through stimulating cell proliferation and survival. BDNF levels are reduced as a result of typical aging conditions, and especially under neurodegenerative conditions such as in Alzheimer's. However, music exposure has been shown to increase BDNF levels, which will then improve neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. First, we will explore how music can affect neuroplasticity. In a study by Papadakakis et al., they found that the music exposure increased dendritic spine density in rats that had experienced early life stress through maternal separation. Specifically, the music, which was Mozart's Sonata K448, increased dendritic spines in the caudal anterior cingulate cortex, a region involved in learning and memory. In addition, music increased the formation of thin and mushroom-shaped spines, which are considered to be mature spines, as opposed to stubby spines, which are not mature. BDNF participates in the shaping of these dendritic spines. The increase in dendritic spine density suggests that music exposure may enhance neuroplasticity, even in those that have experienced stress. Next, music exposure can impact neurogenesis. A study by Angelucelli et al. Found that music exposure on young adult mice increased BDNF levels in the hippocampus. This BDNF increase was correlated to increasing neurogenesis. Furthermore, a study by Lee et al. Investigated whether music alleviated short-term memory deficits through hippocampal cell proliferation in infant rats. These rat pups were injected with valproic acid to model autism. After performing immunochemistry to detect newly developed neurons, they found that autism induction reduced the number of newly formed cells, while music exposure increased the number of newly formed cells. In addition to music's impact on a molecular level, music also had noticeable behavioral effects, specifically through memory and learning improvements. In the Angelucelli study, the rats completed the passive avoidance task, a test for learning and memory processes, after 21 days of music exposure. Music-exposed mice required fewer trials to reach the learning criterion in this task, indicating improved spatial learning. Furthermore, in the Lee study, the rats completed the step-down avoidance task to evaluate short-term memory in rats. It was found that the induction of autism impaired short-term memory, but music exposure improved the short-term memory in these rats. In conclusion, music induces neurogenesis and neuroplasticity through increasing BDNF levels. This has a promising impact on future research in Alzheimer's treatment through non-pharmacological means. Understanding the biological mechanisms behind music's impact on the brain is the first step through improving this treatment. In the future, understanding the effectiveness of specific elements of music, such as music genre, pitch, rhythm, or tempo, would be useful to develop targeted treatment that will improve the effectiveness of music therapy on Alzheimer's treatment. Finally, I would like to thank my mentor, Stephen, for guiding me on this project, helping me come up with ideas and giving me very valuable feedback and guidance. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my presentation.
Thank you, Melinda. I have a question from the audience. So it's kind of related to the last point that you made. In these studies or just in general, like, are there auditory controls? Or I guess the question is kind of, could you see the same improvements by like a repetitive sound being played as opposed to music specifically? Or if there's something specific or magical about music that kind of helps to with the neuroplasticity and growth?
Yeah, so for most of these studies, they were conducted over a period of time. Some of them were more short-term, such as 21 days, while others were over a period of several months, some spanning like the entire lifespan of the rats. So they discovered that some of the study used different auditory stimuli, such as white noise or such as just harmful noise in general. And it was found that music, specifically classical music, had the greatest impact. So again, relating to the memory aspect of music, as I mentioned kind of early on in the presentation, musical memory is kind of stored in a different area of the brain than most memories, which are degenerated by Alzheimer's. So since musical memory is stored in the last area to degenerate, they might hold a more lasting effect in the brain. which would mean that music has a greater effect in promoting these memories, especially in patients of Alzheimer's.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.